It's another Hollywood remake, but does this one deliver? I have my review of Steven Spielberg's West Side Story right now. Hello everybody, I'm Dan Murrell here with my review of Steven Spielberg's remake of the Best Picture winner, West Side Story. I'm sure you've noticed, but this is not my usual surroundings. I'm in Los Angeles for a week. I'm here for Schmodown Spectacular and a few other things, so you'll have to excuse the temporary setup. But today, I'm excited to talk about West Side Story from director Steven Spielberg, and I will be 100% honest here. I was extremely skeptical of this movie from the word go. Steven Spielberg, one of my favorite movie directors of all time, if not my favorite movie director, but that doesn't mean that I think he's perfect, and I haven't really been that enthused with a lot of his output in the last 10 years or so. And when you talk about remaking West Side Story, one of the most legendary Broadway productions of all time, a movie that's already won Best Picture, it's a legendary movie. There are many things in the movie that don't hold up, but overall it is still regarded as an all-time classic. This smacked of something that Steven Spielberg was going to do because he was an influential director, because he had the power and the clout to do so, and I was worried that this was going to be a sort of sleepwalking through a bad photocopy of an already great movie, because that's happened so many times before. When a director is able to do something, they do it because they can, and there's no other reason to do it. Only a small handful of Best Picture winners have even been remade, and when you look at that output, movies like Ben-Hur and Around the World in 80 Days, those are mostly futile efforts because you will never be able to measure up to the original movie. So is this just another vanity project for an A-list director? Well, I'm happy to say that the answer is a resounding no. West Side Story is not just worthy of both the original stage work and the Oscar-winning movie, it can stand alongside both. It is an exceptional example of what a master filmmaker can do with a time-tested genre to make it feel fresh and alive. The story of West Side Story really doesn't need any recapping. It is a story that's literally as old as Shakespeare, probably older, but with a screenwriter like Tony Kushner on board, you're able to take this time-worn story and make it feel fresh and alive again. We know that what's existing with West Side Story is strong, the decades have proven that, but what makes this version of West Side Story a draw isn't the stuff that's carried over from the old versions, it's what's new. First and foremost, West Side Story is blessed with a stellar cast. Rachel Zegler makes her film debut as Maria, one half of the movie Star-Crossed Lovers, and this is a star-making performance. Rachel Zegler has an absolutely beautiful singing voice, but it's not just musical talent that we're seeing here. Her acting ability is able to match that, and that's something that you see often in these musicals. You get someone who can sing, but they can't quite pull off the acting part. Both of these skills are very much within Rachel Zegler's abilities, and I think that she should be in contention for an Academy Award nomination. She's that good in this film. Watching these movies was one of those rare moments when I felt like I got to watch a star being made in real time. I think this is a superlative performance.
Tonight, it all began tonight. I saw you and the world went away.
Rita Moreno, who won an Oscar as Anita, Maria's future sister-in-law who dreams of a better life in America, also appears in the movie, and Moreno is rewarded with a beautifully poignant third-act moment. But filling the shoes of Rita Moreno is no easy task. Luckily, stage veteran and Tony nominee Ariana DeBose is more than up to that task, and she may find herself following in Moreno's footsteps, not just on screen, but to the Oscar ceremony as well. The character of Anita goes through a journey in this film, maybe the biggest journey of any character in the entire movie, and Ariana DeBose is able to hit every single one of those beats. Hope, anger, sorrow, love, disillusion. It's not just musical talent, it's not just the fact that she's able to dance, she's able to embody this character. And by the way, when you're sharing a movie with the actor who made that character for so many people, an icon in the original film, you could see an actor shrinking away from something like that. Ariana DeBose flourishes in this movie along with with the rest of the cast. David Alvarez steps into another Oscar-winning role as Anita's fiance and Maria's brother Bernardo, who's the leader of the Sharks. Rather than making Bernardo a one-note adversary, he makes him a sympathetic character. This is a tragedy, not a good guys, bad guys face-off. You don't want anything bad to happen to any of these characters, and that means that you have to have sympathy for all of them. And this is, again, something that if you go the wrong way with casting, if you go the wrong way with direction or screenwriting, you could make this story into a good guys, bad guys story. Luckily, that's not what we see here. Tony nominee Mike Faist steps into another key role as Riff, the leader of the Jets, seeking to protect a turf that's already being lost to gentrification and urban improvement that really doesn't care about these gangs. They just want to push whatever people are already in this neighborhood, the low-class people, out in order to bring the upper class of New York in. Of course, the role of Tony, the Romeo to Maria's Juliet, is the co-lead of the film, and the fact that I haven't mentioned Ansel Elgort until now isn't a slight, other than to say that he's very obviously a film actor sharing the screen with people who are veterans of the stage. Elgort can sing, Elgort can dance. He's not just serviceable in the role, he's actually pretty good in the movie, but he's kind of like the Godfather 3 of this cast of West Side Story. His acceptability pales in comparison to the perfection that he shares the rest of this movie with.
And what was just a world, there's a star tonight.
West Side Story isn't just an acting showcase, though. Steven Spielberg brings all of the tools and experience of his legendary career to bear and brings new life into West Side Story. This isn't just a rote recreation of other versions of West Side Story. Spielberg is able to live up to the traditions of this film and this Broadway show, but also distinguish this version with a unique creative vision. And sometimes the key part of adaptation is also knowing what not to change, because the basic building blocks of West Side Story are already there and don't need to be improved. It would be a sin to mess with the outstanding music and lyrics by Leonard Bernstein and sadly the recently passed Stephen Sondheim, or to deviate too far from Jerome Robbins' legendary choreography and style. But Spielberg isn't slavishly devoted to the original. There are some musical numbers that are cut, there are some musical numbers that are moved around in the film, others that are given to different characters, and that helps this movie feel fresh. Each number is staged with a vibrant energy that makes them feel as if they're being performed for the first time. And a lot of credit should be given to the great composer David Newman, who arranged and adapted the score for this movie, and also to Justin Peck, who's a Tony Award-winning choreographer. He was tasked with bringing the legendary Robbins style to Spielberg's new vision and is able to blend both the familiar and the new in an energizing way. Huge credit also has to go to Janusz Kaminski, Spielberg's longtime collaborator and director of photography, who knows how to shoot a musical number. Let the professionals do their work and make sure the camera is in the right place to capture it. And I know that seems exceedingly simple, but when you look at the number of musical adaptations and remakes that have been made, there are so many simple things like casting an actor who can sing and dance, or shooting the movie in a way that makes the musical numbers intelligible. There's so many that don't get it right that when you see something like West Side Story that's able to actually do everything 100% right, you can see the potential of other movies that haven't quite been able to measure up to the original works. This movie is really a wonderful medley of everything you need to make a great musical: performance, choreography, staging, editing, and cinematography. If it seems like I'm gushing about West Side Story, it's because I am. This is, for me, hands down, one of the best movies of the year, one of the best made movies I've seen in a very long time. And when people doubt Steven Spielberg, whether he still has it, whether he can harness that talent that he's shown just because he hasn't been able to replicate the magic that he seemed to be able to churn out so much early in his career, I will point them to movies like West Side Story to show that he is a master filmmaker who is capable of making movie magic. And this is movie magic. This just goes to show that if you approach a project with passion and find actors and collaborators on the technical side who approach the project with that same kind of passion and aren't afraid to make changes but know what shouldn't be messed with, that remakes aren't necessarily doomed to failure. Because like I said, a year ago or even a month ago, when this was brought up, I kind of shook my head and said, why in the world would you do that? And this is also why I like to say that I love to be proven wrong on movies like this, because we now have, in my opinion, two fantastic film versions of West Side Story. And there are going to be plenty of people who discover this version of West Side Story first. I went to see this with Mara, and she had never seen any version of West Side Story. And within 3 minutes of the movie starting, she was immediately entranced and loved this. This is one of her favorite movies of the year, might be her favorite. So to be able to introduce this movie and this story and this music and this choreography and these characters to a new generation and do it in a way that's able to weave the same magic of the original film really is kind of a miraculous thing, because there's so many ways that this could have gone wrong, but it doesn't. And in many ways, it also does the original movie one better. Because of the times that the original West Side Story was made, there are several questionable casting choices. Through its casting on screen, this is actually much more representative to the actual characters that are being portrayed than the original screen version of West Side Story. So you have here in this movie something that not only lives up to the original movie, but in some way is able to improve on things that the original film did. Now, this to me does not diminish the legacy or the impact of the original West Side Story film. It's one that I'm going to return to many times in my life because it is its own thing, its own unique thing, and I still have love for that. But the fact that I can now choose between these two versions as a film fan makes me very happy. So this is an enthusiastic endorsement of this film. If you love West Side Story and you're skeptical about this remake, I would encourage you to set that skepticism aside and allow yourself to get reintroduced to the wonder and the magic of this movie, because I promise you, everything that you love about West Side Story is going to be there because the people that made this movie also loved West Side Story. And if you haven't seen this musical, if you don't know the story, if you don't know the music, then I think you're in for something really special, because it's a very, very rare occurrence that you can have a new film that will bring you into a classic film in the same way that that classic film did. This is such a rare occurrence, and I think that for people that maybe haven't had a chance to experience the magic and the wonder of movies for a long time because they haven't been able to go to the theater, I hope that you are able to. I hope that it is safe to go to the theaters and experience this movie with the sound, with the big screen, because this is the magic of movies. This is the wonder of movies, and I loved every second of this movie. So those are my thoughts on West Side Story. Pretty unambiguous on my opinion. Are you excited for the film? It opens in wide release next weekend. Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching. Don't forget that you can get audio versions of all the videos that I do here on YouTube on the Dan Murrell Audio Podcast channel. Those links are down in the description below. Thanks so much. Stay tuned. There are so many awards movies that I have to talk about. Licorice Pizza and Don't Look Up. Other things that are coming in for big nominations as we get to the end of the year. I'm going to be trying to lump those together, both in awards season reviews, solo reviews, because I want to bring my thoughts on those, especially as they start rolling out to everybody nationwide in the next few weeks. Lots of stuff going down. A very exciting end of the year because a lot of these year-end movies are turning out to be really strong. I think that we're making up for a lot of lost time that we didn't get in 2020. Thanks so much for watching. I will be back very soon. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.